Hey guys, Mark here with this month's Wine of the Month Club recipe, pork piccata over linguine, and the absolute perfect pairing for our newest release of Reserve wines, our 2019 Reserve Stock Napa Valley Chardonnay. Now what I love about this wine is that it really breaches all the different grounds of Chardonnay. So it's not the who melted a stick of butter in here. It's not just stainless steel fermented where all you're getting is the bright, crisp, acidic fruits, and it's not just a showing of the French oak barrel. It's really this beautiful melding of those three worlds coming together in harmony and balance. So in this case, we're gonna use the classic complement pairings to highlight what is so wonderful about this wine. So many people have had chicken piccata perhaps, but maybe not ever used pork for this dish. And I find it absolutely a perfect pairing for full-bodied Chardonnays such as this. We just need to get together a little bit of seasoned all-purpose flour. So just a little bit of salt and fresh ground pepper. I'm using a beautiful bone-in pork chop, and no matter which thickness you get this from, we are gonna need to pound this out a little bit thinner to get this even cooking and to get this nice crisp crust without having too rare of an inside. So, you know, you may have one of those fancy meat mallets at home, but it's okay if you don't. And as usual, here comes a little kitchen hack from me. So all you need to do is grab your favorite bottle of empty wine and wrap it up in plastic wrap. You got the world's best meat mallet right here. So I put a little piece of plastic wrap over my cutting board as to not contaminate it. We're gonna be cutting some vegetables on here in the next steps. But just grasping by the bone, of course, there'll be no bone in the bottom portion, so we can just begin to level this out. And when we get down to about this 1/4 inch of thickness, that's all it takes. We just really want to spread this muscle out. And simply we can get rid of our plastic wrap now and into our seasoned flour. And we want to do both sides. But importantly, shake off any excess that you might have on there. We need the second ingredient that's going to be going into the pan at the very same time, which is shallot. And shallots are more than less kind of a mini onion, and they have a little bit more of a sweetness level to it. So this, when we caramelize in the pan, we'll be extracting and ripening up some of the sugars that exist in here, highlighting some of the fruitiness in the wine. And we're just gonna do a real simple julienne or thin sliced cut. And you wanna have a medium hot pan on the oven. And to this, we're gonna add our grapeseed oil. Look out in the stores for grapeseed. It's something fantastic to always have in your kitchen for sauteing. Now that is in there for the smoke point, not for flavor. Really, it's just a neutral oil. So to add some flavor to our saute, we gotta use good old butter. So to the pan goes our nicely floured pork chop. Begin this saute. And also, right into the same pan, we're gonna get our shallots going. Now we're gonna saute this on this medium to high heat for just a few minutes on each side or until we start to see that beautiful golden brown color developing. While those things are browning, we're gonna get our next ingredient for the pan ready, which is gonna be a few cloves of garlic. Now again, just cut off that root end, give it a little smack and a little tap. So now that our cloves are free, I'm not gonna mince, we actually wanna get some nice texture to this. So we're gonna do some just thin slices. We're gonna go ahead and give this one a flip and add the garlic to the pan. Now, number one thing that will burn here is going to be your garlic. So we're just gonna give this a light toss around and then transfer our pork chop into just an oven-safe baking dish. And we're gonna go ahead and turn off the heat here for a second. Now, on top of this pork chop, just a nice little splash of our Chardonnay to keep things moist. as it finishes in the oven. And just a little bit of aluminum foil to hold all of that moisture in, and in we go. So we'll check back on that, like I said, in about 8 or 10 minutes, we'll be ready. All right, so now that the pork chops are in the oven, we can turn our heat back on to high, and we're gonna put a nice generous portion of our Chardonnay in here and begin to reduce down all this beautiful caramelization. And a bit of chicken stock goes in as well. Now, while that's all reducing down in the pan, we're gonna get a few lemons cut up here because we're gonna need the juice of 2 and about the zest of another half of 1. And now, like I mentioned, about a half of 1 for the zest. And I do love my microplane. As opposed to just using an ordinary grater, this will only give you the skin and none of the pith or the bitter part. So our wine and chicken stock has now come down by about half of its original volume. So now in comes lemon juice. And again, no reason to have one of those fancy strainers. Your hand can be the world's best strainer. Just keep your fingers squeezed together and let those seeds get caught, all the juice run right through. Now, once the heat has been turned off and we have that nice sauté juices, lemon juice, the Chardonnay all coming together, now we can start to add some of our finer aromatics. So the herb we're going to be using is fresh oregano. And again, we only ever want those nice tender leaves. We don't want any little bits of the wooden stems. They are going to bring bitterness, and we definitely don't want that. And just gather them all together, kind of pinch it down to the board in between your fingertips, and it'll make it a lot easier just to come through and do a nice thin slice, or what the French would call chiffonade. Into the sauté pan we go with our fresh oregano. Capers, one of these salty, briny ingredients, and it's very important not to cook the dish with the capers in it. Otherwise, you're just gonna suck so much of that abrasive salt and briny. So we want to keep that as a nice little pop. So in go our capers, the lemon zest, which just brings those fresh oils from the lemon to the game and make it so much brighter and more floral. And we'll bring this all together. And then lastly, we just need some nice flat leaf Italian parsley. Parsley has this amazing kind of fresh, dry, but sweet herbaceousness to dishes that's not very overbearing. And again, just squeeze it down so we can get a nice thin slice. I think our 10 minutes is about up, you guys. And while that's resting, well, we can get the rest of everything ready to plate up. My favorite is just quite simple, just over a nice bed of fettuccine pasta. So, nice portion of pasta, perhaps. And we've got our beautiful piccata base here. We're gonna just spoon a little bit right over the top of our pasta. Then it's time for the star of the show, our pork chop. And now just simply take anything you have left in the pan, and we're just gonna go right over the top. And to finish our dish, and again, not just for color, nice portion of this flat leaf Italian parsley. And there we have it, you guys. Pork piccata. Now it's time to see how we did. Oh my goodness. You guys got to try this one. This wine is so much more full-bodied and luscious, and you can even taste more layers of fruit now that we've highlighted these areas of the wine. Now, if you guys have been having fun with these wine and food pairing videos, just wait till next month. The weather's back and the grill is coming back. Can't wait. Cheers.